Hey everyone, my name is Caroline. I'd like to formally welcome you to my channel. I just plan on using this platform as a place to keep all of my videos in one place, kind of like a video diary, so that I might be able to look back at all the work that God's done in my life. So I do hope that you consider subscribing, and I hope that what I choose to share on this platform from my life experiences and so on, I hope that they motivate you, uplift you, educate you in some way. So let's get into today's video. So today's video is actually about how I left my $87,000 a year salary job because of burnout. Yeah. So let's get into it. So I suppose I'll start out with what job it actually is that I left. I was a full-time embryologist, and I'll explain what that means for those who don't. I'll start out with my scholastic qualifications for the job. I did my undergraduate at UNC Chapel Hill, where I got a Bachelor of Science in Biology. From there, I did my master's in biomedical sciences at Colorado State in Fort Collins, Colorado. Now, it was a biomedical science degree, but I concentrated in the field of assisted reproductive technologies, or ART for short. And honestly, all that means is it's the science behind what we do as embryologists in the lab at IVF clinics across the world. Now, say you and your partner are struggling to conceive, or you're in a same-sex relationship and you'd like to go through the process for yourself, we see all types of patients for all types of fertility-related issues at IVF clinics. Colorado State actually has the program, it's the only program in the country with hands-on application. During my graduate education, we were required to be in the lab full-time hours with a full course load. We ran conventional IVF cycles, which just means we took the eggs and we put them with sperm and let them do what they do. We ran conventional IVF cycles every week. We would freeze embryos that we had, and then we would warm them up, or what we call thawing them. So we ran cycles every week in addition to a full course load. I was in the lab full time every week. It was pretty rigorous. One of the requirements of this program was to complete an internship, and you could do the internship in any type of clinic. It could be an animal clinic, it could be an IVF clinic for actual people. So I'd been away from home, my home state, for a while. I was born in Haiti, spent my whole life in this one state, and I went off to college and then to grad school. So I kind of wanted to go back home. So when I was thinking about what type of internship to apply for, I was applying for most internships back home. Now, after I completed this internship, I was offered a job, and my starting salary at that point was $70,000 a year. I know, right out of school. Now, when I was doing research to prepare for my interview, I saw salary ranges, from 45,000 up until 70. So when they started me at 70, I was pretty happy about that. So I graduated from grad school. I moved back home. I got into another apartment, and I just started my job as an embryologist. Now, the hours were long. It's not even like a fixed schedule that you would have. When I first started, I was starting work at 6 a.m., which means I had to be up well before 5 to get ready and be at work by 6. And we honestly didn't even get into the lab until like 7 a.m. Ask me why we were there at 6. I have no idea. But we'd be there for quite some time. Sometimes we'd be there from 6 to, with traffic in the afternoon, I'd get home after 6, sometimes close to 7 o'clock. And that was a regular thing, 4 days a week. Yeah, we had a day off in the week. I know not every IVF clinic is like this, so I'm grateful for my boss who fought hard to get us a day off in the middle of the week, because she saw how much work it actually was to be there, 10, 12 hours a day, depending on the workload, sometimes 4, sometimes 6 days a week. It was pretty tough. So keep in mind, I was also in school for 21 years, 20 some odd years before that. So I come from being in school full time to working these hours full time. It was a lot. And on top of the bench work, I also had to train in this particular company's protocols. Every clinic is different. They use different protocols, and so I had to learn things, how they were done in this particular clinic. And another thing that was challenging was, they had multiple locations, and I eventually, within a few months of me being employed, I started traveling to all of these other locations to help out where they had need in the lab as well. Now, I'm grateful that they had that much trust in me to speed me through so much of the training because of my experience. They trusted the experience and the knowledge and the theory that I got from my graduate program. And I honestly think that's why they started me out, at that salary range because of, the experience that I had. So they trusted me to travel to all of these other locations that they had and help out where they had need. So I was working full time, I was training, I was traveling. I was exhausted. Let's just say that. Now, I will say that there was one perk to traveling, which I was reimbursed for mileage and gas and things like that. But the other perk was just having the opportunity to work with different members of the same team. And I actually enjoyed other locations a bit more than the one that I was working at full time, that I started working at. And so just for lots of other reasons, some personalities that I didn't really care to work with, I asked for a transfer to another location and was granted that transfer. I did some traveling in between, but I was transferred to the location of my choice. So I ended up staying with this company for over 2 years, almost 3 years. And during that time, they increased my salary up until, as I said, when I left, my salary that year was just north of 87,000 with reimbursement for traveling and things like that. I was just north of 87,000 for the last year that I was at that job. So there were some perks, and I did appreciate everything that my boss did for us as embryologists who sometimes go overlooked and, in the lab were forgotten about. So I appreciated the amount of work that my boss actually put in and to make us feel appreciated, because she recognized how much we actually did and how much work it actually was. Because I don't think people realize how much work that goes on in the lab behind the scenes outside of the bench work, which is when we collect the eggs or we freeze the eggs or we inseminate, we put the sperm with the eggs, whatever we're doing, the science, the laboratory part of it, there is so much paperwork outside of that, and so much that we're responsible for to keep track of outside of just the bench work. It was a lot, and I appreciate all the work that she did to try to compensate us for that, because like I said, not every clinic is the same, not every embryologist story is the same. I'm sure around the globe people have stories for days, but this one is mine. So we're going to fast forward now to 2021 when I launched my hair care product business. I was still working full time, and I used the funds that I'd been saving to start my business because people in my life, family, friends, everyone was asking me, what are you doing with your hair? It's so healthy, it's growing so much, it's full, it's thick, it's strong. And, I was honest with them that for a couple of years since 2019, I'd been making my own herbal blend of oils, my own, butters and things like that. And they encouraged me to start selling them. So I, registered my business. I got a website up and I launched my business officially in 2021. Now, January 2022, I had the brilliant idea to also register for classes because I wanted to go back to school. I missed being in school, I missed being a student, and I just felt like, I wasn't being challenged as much as I was before. I wanted new challenges. I wanted to keep learning, keep exploring. So I registered for classes and started January 8th of 2022. So by February, I knew that wasn't it. No. By February, I realized something had to give. I was working full time and exhausted. I still had demand for products in my business, and now I'm taking classes. I was just incredibly overwhelmed. And I think the reason why I decided to leave the lab full time is because I started to resent showing up to work. Like, I didn't care for it. Now, I love embryology as a science. I'm a scientist at heart. I love learning. I love discovering things. So I didn't want to end up hating embryology as a discipline. So I knew that I had to do something. And for about a year, I had actually been praying and fasting and asking God whether this was even for me. And so I actually started fasting intentionally, praying and asking God for guidance and direction. I just didn't know what to do at that point. And I remember, God revealed to me that, yeah, there's a choice that you have to make. And you have to ask yourself, what's most important to you right now? Being the kind of person that you are, being a lifelong learner and genuinely constantly wanting to learn, constantly wanting to be better and to grow. You want a discipline that's going to give you an opportunity to do that. And after working embryology, at the end of the day, I was exhausted. I didn't want to put hours into my business. I didn't want to put hours into my crafts, my hobbies, things that I actually enjoyed. I didn't have much energy to actually hang out with friends and family on my one day off because I just wanted to sleep and catch on, some snooze. And it was just a lot. And I prayed and I said, well, God, I have Caribbean parents, Haitian parents, and we're hardworking people. We're not lazy at all. That's not what this is and what it ever was. And I knew that they were going to ask me, like, okay, so if you're quitting work, what are you going to be doing? I said, I want to go back to school, God. And I'd like for you to, help my Haitian Caribbean parents to understand that what I'm doing is the best for me and to support me. So it was confirmation for me. End of February 2022, I told my parents that I'd be quitting my job so that I could work for myself full time and work on going back to school. And their response was completely supportive. They said that they would pray with me and be in agreement with me in faith for what I'm asking God for. And that was just a weight lifted off my shoulders to know that I had their support, my older siblings' support. I had the support of my inner circle to do this thing that I felt was best for me in the moment. And I just knew that was confirmation from God. I had so much peace in my heart. And so in March, I decided to actually put in my notice. I gave the company a month's notice so that they could be able to find a replacement for me. And I was also given the task of helping train the person coming up, after me that would be helping my supervisor at this location at that point. And so the last month that I was there, that's pretty much what I was doing, helping them get the lab ready for me to leave. I know that I was a great help. I know that I was a great embryologist. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had with this company, and I'm grateful for the growth, but I just knew that it was my time to do something different. So, what do I do now? I'm actually still in the same field. I'm a traveling embryologist by profession now, still working on going back to school, and I run my small business completely from home. So, I do work for myself and I travel and help in labs all across the country. I work for an umbrella company that has lots of embryology or IVF clinics under their umbrella. So if there's short staff, an event going on, conferences that people are going to, wherever they need help in the lab, I travel and I get paid to travel and help them out in labs all across the country. So that's currently what I'm doing now. It's a pretty sweet gig. I get to go to places I've never been before. They pay for the hotel, the cars, and I just show up for work and I get the opportunity to see places I've never traveled to on my own. So I actually enjoy this, and it helps me to not despise the discipline. I still love the field of embryology. I feel super helpful when I go into a lab and I'm able to be, helpful in any way. So I still get to practice embryology just on my time and on my terms. So, what can you expect from me? What can you expect from this channel? Like I said, it's just a lifestyle video diary, vlogging, everything about my lifestyle from, being a small business owner, things that I've learned, life experiences, my journey and my walk with God, I am working on as well. So, if any of that interests you, I would highly, highly, highly implore you to consider subscribing to this channel and growing with me, being part of this growing family. And I'll see you in my next video.